I call this meeting to order and we'll recite the Pledge of Allegiance first. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America,
and to the
and
republic
the republic for which it stands,
one nation
nation,
under God,
God, indivisible,
and
with
liberty.
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Motion to adopt the agenda.
I heard two people, so I assume there's a second there.
Yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So passes. We need a motion to approve the minutes of the January 11th, 2022 meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes, the regular minutes from January 11, 2022 meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So passes. I need a motion to approve the executive minutes from January 11, 2022.
Motion to approve the executive minutes from January 11, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Mayor, I'd like to remind everybody that the minutes that are from the executive session of January 11th still remain confidential because the events discussed have not concluded.
Thank you. We will begin with our reports. The first report is the financial report from Dawn Parks.
Thank you. Mayor and Council, you have before you the financial report as of January 31st, 2022. With our real estate, we've collected 99.6% of our current year's taxes, and as reported, previous months, we have one account with prior year taxes due in the amount of $1,267. That account has been put on Sussex County as far as going to sheriff's sale, but it does take several months for that to come through. So I'll keep you posted. Moving on to our reserve and committed funds, our emergency reserve trust fund has a balance of $972,080. Our capital replacement trust fund has a balance of $1,013,650. The street repair and replacement trust has a balance of $4,034,100. For the American Rescue Plan Act, the balance right now is $591,201. And as Carol previously mentioned, but I will, the final rule for the American Rescue Plan Act was published in January and goes into effect April 22nd. Like she said, we're reevaluating what the CRE provisions of to determine the best use of the funds now, as it is with the new final rule. Our Emergency Services Enhancement Fund, there is a typo. This is as of the end of January. There were 16 new home construction permits that were issued and has a balance of $1,039,685. Moving on to our transfer taxes. Our transfer taxes reported or collected through December 31st of 2021. They were 38.6% from new construction home sales, 0.6% from land sales, and 61.4% from the resales of existing homes. To give you numbers, that boils down to 57 new construction homes, 117 resales, and 6 land sales as of December 31st. We did this week get our January totals. The January transfer taxes were $156,000. So I'll be reporting on the breakdown of that next month. On pages 3 and 4, You'll find the financial statement recap followed by the January analytics. The revenue and expenditure reports are for January 31st, 2022. If you have any questions concerning the financial reports, just let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. Any questions for Dawn?
I have a quick follow-up question on the properties that were delinquent in their water bills. I assume that's all been resolved, or is there any follow-up on that?
Sure, we had 4 accounts that actually were shut off. They all came in and paid to get themselves turned back on. So at this point, we do not have, I think we have 2 accounts that are shut off that have not come in, but those are ones that are vacant. And were shut off in the first go round that was in like October.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any further questions? If not, we'll move to the public safety report by Chief McLaughlin.
Yes, good evening, everyone. You should have a copy of the public safety report in front of you. I know you've been meeting for quite a while. I'll try to go through this pretty quick. I've got a rundown, kind of give you a little bit different monthly data report going forward. This is going to show all the incidents, same categories, just a little bit different look to it. And then it's also going to compare, give you a comparison from month to month going forward for 2022. If you have any questions, I'll be certainly happy to answer them. A couple things I want to point out. Volunteer unit logged 121 hours of service in the month of January 22. Got our monthly training listed there. We're starting to do some increased training, getting ready for the coming summer months. Our community policing initiatives are listed. One important thing, we are looking to finalize a MOU with Bear Trap Dunes. That community has asked for some speed signs. The town was unable to provide them out of our budget, but their HOA stepped up and they're going to be purchasing 4 signs and working with us as far as placement of the signs. And then we would monitor and collect the data. But the HOA and Bear Trap is going to pay for the signs. A couple important things to point out. The outfit Home Snacks, which is a web-based outfit. They rated Ocean View once again as the safest city in Delaware for 2021. They've also rated Delaware as the best place to live, or Ocean View as the best place to live in the state of Delaware for 2021. So I think that's just a really great accomplishment for Ocean View. As you know, Ocean View PD received gold level recognition from Lexipol for the 2nd year in a row for our policy development and policy related training. The staff participated in a monthly attack addiction meeting. We assisted Ken Semino and Jared Steele with the winter storm response that impacted Ocean View January 28th through the 30th. We've completed improvements to the property and evidence room. And a special thanks to Captain Hall and Corporal Burton for their work with that. We're preparing a training calendar for 2022, and we've been working with the town manager and finance director to on the police department's budget going forward. I tell you, I know I'm getting a little ahead of things, but I've really got to compliment the town manager and finance director for the budget document that they put together. I said to them today that the most comprehensive, best looking budget document that I've seen in my 20 years here with the town of Ocean View. So thanks very much. It makes it easy on the department heads when we've got great folks to work with. And then finally, I just included in there a letter, some correspondence from Joan Lorenzo's family. Miss Joan is a longtime resident of Ocean View. She's been here for 50 years. She's 94 years old and resides on Central Avenue. And just a little thank you from her family for the care that she receives from the Ocean View PD. And with that, I'll end the report. Be happy to entertain any questions.
Chief, I want to thank you for all the hard work that you and your staff have done to make us the safest town in Delaware 3 years in a row. I never get tired of hearing it. So
4
thank you.
years.
4 years.
4 years in a row. 4 years. And it's a great thing that this town has been rewarded, and that's all because of you and your staff. So thank you very much for your hard work.
Sir.
The only other question I had was, we did not see the Millville Fire Department report. Oh, I did not get it.
I don't think it came in yet. We
Okay,
might get it tomorrow. Sometimes it falls like that.
okay.
Yeah. We'll double check.
Any questions for the chief? Okay, if not, we'll move to planning, zoning, and development. Ken Semino.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Under the maintenance and operations, our ADA sidewalk improvements in Savannah's Landing, they continue. They slowed down during the month of January with all the winter weather events that we had, but the contractor was back at it this week. We had 3 winter weather events since we last met, January 7th, January 21st, and January the 28th. And as you know, the last one on the 28th and the 29th was significant. Public Works staff, along with our contractual staff from SMI Services and George and Lynch, worked the storm from 8 p.m. Friday night to 3 p.m. Saturday afternoon, at which time all of our roads were clear, mostly down to bare pavement, and we went home for the day. I do want to thank the chief and Sergeant Ballantyne for taking care of 201 Central for us. We had everybody out on the road, so thank you, Chief. During the storm, we also maintained some of DelDOT's roadways. These are roadways that impact us going to and from our roadways. Central Avenue from Muddy Neck to the canal, West Avenue from Route 26 to Woodland Avenue, Muddy Neck from Woodland Avenue to Parker House Road, and Route 26 turn lanes at Woodland, Central, and West Avenue. Crews came back in on Sunday, the 30th. We worked 9 hours hauling out snow in some of our developments that the roads are a little tighter. Savannah's Landing in the cul-de-sacs, a little bit of hauling in Avon Park. And then we finished up Monday clearing the turn lanes on Route 26 that hadn't been done yet. Also included in your packet is an email that we got from one of our residents thanking us for the job that we did in Savannah's Landing. Under the capital improvement projects, notices were sent out to the residents that were directly affected by the West Avenue Streetscape project. In total, 22 notices were sent. I received 6 inquiries from our residents. Most consistent comment was that they weren't aware of the project and wish there had been more notice. That's on me. I didn't have a public meeting. Didn't fit it in around the COVID restrictions for indoors. By the time I got around to thinking about having it outdoors, it was in September when the project was finally fully designed and we were losing daytime hours. But, you know, that being said, this project was talked about extensively at our April 2019 comprehensive land use event. that we held at John West Park, the Coastal Point, had an article about it in May of 2019. We talked about it extensively in our overview in the 2020 budget presentation of our sidewalk connectivity projects. And over the last couple of years, it was talked about in 8 different town council meetings. So the project was talked about. It was out there. We didn't have a meeting. And our staff we're available to meet with folks to talk with them about the project. And we have done so with the 6 that have come in. The rest of stuff are facts and figures for code enforcement, permits, and business and rental licenses. If you guys have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Ken. I just want to reiterate all of the accolades that you received from the residents in the town. In the 18 years that I've been in this town and the various snowstorms, this is probably the best one that's ever been cleared. It seems to me like I heard a truck every 20 minutes going by my house. And I've heard other people say the same thing. So thank you very much for a great job.
Well, thank you. And thanks to Mr. Jared Steele and Tyler Hughes and our contractual staff. Everybody stayed at it and stayed with it. And we worked 18 hours and still managed to give breaks, rest breaks, and not fall behind. That's pretty good for 26 plus miles of road.
Yeah. Yeah. Any questions, any further questions or comments?
No.
Nope.
If not, we'll move to the town manager's report.
Yes, Mayor and council members, townwide reassessment, as you know, just give you a little update, was finalized at the end of December. The initial informal appeals have been completed now. Anybody that presented an informal appeal will be receiving written notification regarding the outcome of, may have already, because I think they were mailed last Friday. They're mailed by the assessor. Okay, essentially the letters will tell them whether or not their requested change has been granted or not. And then there's also the opportunity for any other appeals, and the letter tells people that as well. We also have all the information on our website, and any changes that were made will be online effective February 15th, if not sooner. It's my understanding that the changes have been sent in, and they're just waiting for them to be updated. People can also come into the admin building here after the 15th, and we'll show them the tax rolls. The 23 budget, Mayor and Council, was delivered to you on Friday the 4th. It was also on the website at the same time. It is also linked to this agenda. So it's available for anybody that wants to look at it. Keep in mind our next, our workshop will be on the 22nd at 6 p.m. So we look forward to beginning our discussion about next year's fiscal budget. American Rescue Act, it's already been talked about. I plan to come back to Mayor and Council with the new rules and things in play. Hopefully we'll have everything wrapped up to come back to you with some recommendations in March. That's my goal at this point in time. The only thing that would stop that would be if we're still waiting on any feedback from the attorneys. As you know, Fire and Ice was canceled due to the snow event. And it is this Friday and Saturday will be held, and we will be sponsoring, hosting, at least at John West Park, some of the events. The Chamber's main booth will be there, and everybody will be picking up all their tickets and things for all of the events everywhere in Millville and Bethany, right at John West Park on Friday primarily. The weather is going to be a lot different than 2 weeks ago. Hopefully we'll get to enjoy the ice sculptures for a little bit. Do want to just say thanks to our crews. I'm very proud of the preparation. I'm very proud of the plan that was put in place by Ken. thank him for that. And we have gotten a lot, as the mayor said, a lot of really great feedback because of the good work. We did have to reach out to DelDOT for some issues, most notably issues at Lord Baltimore School. So I think with the communication that's taken place, we're hopeful that that'll be taken into consideration by DelDOT as a more of a priority in the future. South Coastal Village volunteers have reported that things are really going very well. Things are ramping up a little bit quicker than they had thought. They're actually hiring one staff member, and the rest of the activities will be taken care of by volunteers. They just advised today that they'd like to go 5 days a week come July. So we're anticipating, and we have the ability to offer that to them at 32 West. With that, I also have information about Public Works, the monthly report, but I'd be happy to answer any questions about anything in the report or otherwise.
Now, on the fire and ice events, the agenda is still the same as it would have been if we had carried it out last month.
Yes. Yeah, everything, nothing's been notified. The band is still on Saturday at noon, from noon to 12. And there'll be a beer garden during the same period. And then again, a little bit on Friday afternoon as well.
Thank you. Any other questions for the town manager? Is there anything else that we want to talk about before we open it up to citizens' privilege?
No.
Okay. We will move to citizens' privilege on the items on the pre-published agenda listed for discussion and consideration, or items subsequently added at any time to the pre-published agenda for discussion and consideration. If anyone chooses to speak at the first citizens' privilege, she or he may not speak on the same subject, same topic at the second citizen privilege. In order to ask a question, I ask you to go to the bottom of your screen and click on raise the hand, and that hand will be blue. It will be recognized and you will be unmuted to ask your question.
We do have one question from Elaine, has her hand raised.
Okay. Go ahead, Elaine.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening. This is Elaine Saraki at 33159 Ogre Drive in Ocean View. With respect to the plowing that was done and the assist for the DelDOT roadways, I'm just curious around who's going to pay ultimately that plowing expense. Is that coming out of Ocean View taxpayer money, or are you planning to recoup some of that expense through the state and or county?
All of our snow plowing operations have been a part of the town's budget. In 2019, we outsourced much of our public works activities to, so we have consulting companies that come in for the snow plowing. Until this year, we hadn't had the opportunity to test that. So the beauty of it is we use these employees when we need them for these types of events. But we don't have to have enough staff to cover storms like we had all year round. We have the day-to-day staff that we have now, but it is budgeted for in the town of Ocean View budget for our streets. The state of Delaware unincorporated streets, or the state streets that actually are in Ocean View, are the responsibility of DelDOT.
So just to clarify, ensure I understand your response, where the roads were cleared on Central Avenue and Muddy Neck that was indicated earlier in the report, are you saying that that's coming out of the town's taxpayer dollars, or that is going to be funded and agreed upon to be paid by the state and or county?
There's no agreement for the county or the state to fund any town that's incorporated for any of the snow removal operations that they conduct. The streets that you named are streets that we continue to plow on our way to different developments that are in town. We do have some pockets where we go in and out of town, and we think it's our responsibility to keep the plow down and make it so that our residents can easily and safely, hopefully, travel.
Is there an opportunity in the future to negotiate that with DelDOT and or the state or county so that our taxpayer dollars don't have to fund those state and or county roadways?
They have been made aware of it, and it would be highly unlikely, I suspect, from my experience with their work up and down the state, where this type of overlap occurs.
Gotcha. So you're saying in the future budget that you're working on now, we're going to continue to fund those pockets of state and county roadways because there's no agreement with the state or county to step up.
Can I interrupt for just a second, please, Ms. Saraki? The
Yes.
Sussex, we call them county roads, but that's strictly their name. The county does not have any jurisdiction over streets or roads within Sussex County. It
So
transferred all of its responsibilities to the state in the 1930s.
okay, so then my question would be with respect to the state. If they've deferred responsibility to the state, why isn't the state paying for the plowing of those roads? And why is it falling on the taxpayer dollars who live within the town of Ocean View, who could be facing yet another town tax increase? What can we be proactive to
I believe we still
to-
receive municipal street aid funds, don't we, Carol?
We do get approximately 115 for municipal street aid. And the state will come eventually. It may be when the storm's over. It may be when it's not necessary. They're just not going to get there in time for our residents necessarily to be able to commute to wherever they might need to go.
So, and based on the learnings from the last storm, as we prepare for the budget and the next fiscal year, are we going to take into account those learnings? And is there anything we can ask the state to cover? Or are we saying that taxpayers within the town corporal limits of Ocean View are going to continue to fund that expense?
We have already made them aware of what we did. And the expense is essentially leaving the plow down as we're traveling to the next development. What you're essentially suggesting is that we would lift the plow on Muddy Neck and then not drop it again until we get to Ogre Drive, say.
I think
it's approximately, Ken, do you remember how many miles we're talking?
Excuse me, Avenue is a better example because there's a more clearly defined limit of boundary in and out of corporate limits. So can we use that example? And can you provide the data on that example on Central Avenue? It's not as charty, right? There's clear delineation of what's in the town and what's outside the town on Central Avenue. I'd appreciate understanding the extra mileage that we took on there and the cost. What does it translate to taxpayer dollars?
I'll be happy to answer that, Elaine. So basically, we pay our contracted workforce hourly. So we take the position that we're paying them to drive on Central Avenue between our communities, whether the plow is up on Central Avenue and they're just driving on snow, or the plow is down and they're pushing it out of the way. So either way, we're paying them an hourly rate. It makes it easier for our forces to travel to our roadways along roads that are cleaned and maintained. And so we simply choose to, if we're driving on it, going to a town-owned road, we simply choose to plow it for our benefit, for the benefit of our citizens. We're not accruing an extra cost because we're paying that plow truck driver to drive from point A to point B, irregardless of whether he's plowing or the plow's up and he's just driving.
So it's reassuring to know then, you're saying on the record, there's no additional cost to Ocean View residents. And in addition to that, it's very reassuring to know that although the governor issued an emergency, or I shouldn't say an emergency, but a declaration asking all residents to stay off the road, you still decided to plow for the benefit of the town. Thank you for your answer.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm happy to answer your questions.
And Ken, I'll say one thing, I'll jump in real quick. Part of that is also to allow emergency access. So for our fire department, the ambulance and the police, so that we can get around the community when we're responding to emergencies. We certainly can't do that if, the roads aren't plowed.
Yes, and just to note that point, when the plowing was done on Ogre Drive, you wouldn't be able to fit emergency vehicles down this road because we were essentially reduced to a one-lane road due to the plowing, which is a separate topic I've addressed separately outside the scope of this meeting. But yes, just good to know for the record, there's no additional incremental cost to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. Are there any further questions? Seeing none, I think we'll move on to the new business. Do we have any new ordinances to introduce?
No, sir.
Okay, good. Thank you. The next item is discussion, consideration, and possible voting on a recommendation to purchase 2 replacement police vehicles in 2022 are newer Ford utility interceptors from a state of Delaware awarded contract GSS 17013. I think, Carol, you were going to address this.
Yes, Mayor and Council. As you know, over the past years, there have been vehicle delivery delays associated with replacement of police vehicles and other vehicles. Not so much for us, but for other people, other towns. Our capital program funds the regular replacement of our police vehicles in a rotation associated with various things such as age, high idling, etc. At this time, we have still not taken possession of a vehicle that was ordered last May 2021 and still have no official delivery date. 2 of our police vehicles to be replaced are units P9 and P5. 1 unit will be sold at auction, and one and all of its emergency gear will be stripped from it, and the other one will be retained as our backup unit. The units will be replaced with 2022 or newer. We say that because we may move into another year by the time we receive them. Ford police interceptors from the state awarded contract. Each are $46,424. Funds are available to purchase 2 replacement vehicles from Winter Ford of Cherry Hill, New Jersey, the winning bidder for the state of Delaware contract. From our prior years' reserves unassigned fund surplus. Going forward, we are going to, at least in the next couple of years, add 4 vehicles to the budget so that we can be prepared to make a advance order because of the long delays. It's therefore recommended the mayor and council authorize the purchase of the 2 vehicles from the state of Delaware contract for the total cost of $92,848.
Thank you, Carol. Any questions?
Just a comment, if you don't mind. Ford is moving to electric vehicles. I don't know. I mean, we're competing with every police department in the country, are we not? For these vehicles. I'm afraid we're gonna run out of wheels at some point. Honestly, should we think about getting 1 or 2 motorcycles as a backup?
I'll be honest with you, Mr. White. There have been departments that have tried that, but we're limited in some cases. Minimum staffing is 1 officer. Difficult to transport a prisoner on a motorcycle. You can't have the computer and the printer required just to even issue a citation. And the big factor, believe it or not, is noise. So the motorcycle is very loud, and so the last thing that folks want, as we patrol the neighborhoods in the middle of the night, they don't want the loud noise associated with the motorcycles. I know some other neighboring communities have gone down that road and tested those waters before, and the noise was the big factor.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Who dictates the brand? Is it always Ford, or is that driven by the state?
No, that's it's really what's number one, what's available and what works best with us. And we've had the best luck with Ford. We do have 2 Chevys in the fleet, Chevy Tahoes, and I'll be honest with you, we haven't had good luck with them. A lot of maintenance issues and major problems with the air conditioning and heating in particular. In fact, our 1 Tahoe right now, the air conditioning's out again. We've had the K9 vehicle is a Tahoe, the current K9 vehicle, and I think that air conditioning unit's been replaced 3 or 4 times. So we just haven't had a lot of luck. The Fords have held up very well and have served our purpose. We're also, we kind of stick with the state contract price.
Yeah.
So the town does have the ability to go out to bid on our own. We can put together our own spec and big bid package, but it's just very time consuming and costly. So we piggyback off of the state bid and go with what's available.
Councilman, the state contract also includes, when it's offering a police vehicle, it's also not the typical vehicle you would buy. It's beefed up, suspension and things. So typically whatever is being offered is what's being made for police at the time.
The other big thing is obviously Ford just announced, that's why I brought it up. The semiconductors are a big issue. It's global. Ford's closing some plants temporarily because of that. So hopefully that doesn't affect the police cars we're trying to order.
Yeah, Mr. Walsh, that's one of the reasons for us bringing this forward tonight. We're actually not planning on paying for these vehicles till next fiscal year, so after May 1.
Right.
But we get the order in today, and it could very well be that it's fiscal year 24 before we actually take possessions of the vehicle. So that's happened to us in the past, where this quest, if you will, to bring on a new vehicle spans 2, if not 3 fiscal years. So that's quite with the current delays.
Okay. Thank you.
We don't get the order in now, then certainly not going to get anything within the next year.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Any further questions or comments? If not, I need a motion to purchase 2 replacement police vehicles, 2022 or newer, Ford Utility Interceptors from the state of Delaware, awarded contract GSS 17013.
Take a motion to purchase 2 replacement police vehicles, 2022 or newer, Ford Utility Interceptors from a state of Delaware awarded contract, George Sam 17013, for amount of $92,848.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So passes. Thank you. The next item is for discussion, consideration, and possible voting on a 2022 election calendar. The town clerk will address this issue.
I think it's very self-explanatory. It's the same calendar we use every year, just updated days and dates. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions? If not, I need a motion to approve the 2022 election calendar.
Motion to approve the 2022 election calendar.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So passes. Thank you. Next item is discussion, consideration, and possible voting on parking restrictions and bear trap dunes. Ken Semino?
All right. A little bit of background. The Bear Trap community is a residential plan community consisting of 700 dwelling units, commercial space, a golf course with clubhouse and a restaurant. During warm weather months, many of these units are used for weekly rentals. Currently, there are 10 locations, 7 on Willow Oak, or there's actually 11 locations, 7 on Willow Oak, 3 on October Glory, and 1 on Tulip Poplar Turn, where the roadway diverts, and there are homes that are in kind of a cul-de-sac type configuration. The roadway is basically a U shape, where motorists could and have parked on both sides of the roadway. Most of those roadways in these 11 areas are between 24 and 26.33 feet wide. So when a vehicle is parked in, let's say, the median near the grass interior of that horseshoe-shaped roadway, and one is parked on the house side in front of the dwelling units, it's impossible for vehicles to get down the street. So we've been asked to look at installing no parking signs along the interior section of these circular roadways, restricting parking to the right side of the roadway in front of the dwelling units. It would be a total of 51 signs and posts at a estimated cost of $5,700.
I got a question. Are you saying that you're going to restrict the parking in front of the homes,
Not in front of the homes,
across the street from them?
across the piece
Yeah.
across the street that that borders the grass section.
Okay,
Yeah, the interior of the.
Yep.
Yep.
Just wanted to make sure. Any other questions?
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Semino, how are you going to handle the outreach to the houses that are affected? In other words, the areas that are affected.
Well, I'm working with Bear Trap Dunes Community Association, the property managers and the president of the board. And we will, prior to implementing this, if mayor and council approve it, we will have work with the board to get a message pushed out to all 700 dwelling units.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? If not, then I need a motion approving the parking restrictions in Bear Trap Dunes as outlined by Ken Semino.
Motion to approve the recommendation by Mr. Semino for the parking regulations within Bear Trap Dunes.
Do I hear-
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So passes. Moving on to the discussion, consideration, and possible voting on presentation of the proposed fiscal year 23 operating budget, 5-year capital improvement budget, and water utility budget.
Yes, Mayor and Council, we discussed it a little bit earlier, and we'd be happy to take any feedback if anybody has any at this time. Of course, we'll be ready with a presentation for the workshop on the 22nd. I would like to, before I take any questions, like to thank Dawn for her wonderful dedication to putting all the budget documents together and doing the transition to our new budget module, which we've gotten good feedback from you all and the chief now and some others. And I can say that she also ran it dual because she ran it in our old format at the same time this year. So she was actually developing two budgets, so to speak, and keeping track of that. But I just want to thank you and thank her and let you know how hard she worked and how well she was responsive to all of our different department teams.
I also want to echo Chief McLaughlin's comment that this budget was presented in a beautiful, comprehensive, understandable way. It was really, really good to see. So thank you, Dawn, for all that hard work that you put in.
Thank you.
Any questions? Any guidance we want to give before
Mr. Mayor?
workshop? Yes.
Yes, a few suggestions for maybe providing additional information for the next meeting on the 22nd. It's a little bit more difficult this time to compare previous year with this year's taxes because we're talking about different values of the homes. So I wonder if we could have, for example, one graphic showing the range, the mean, and the mode of the numbers from the reassessment, both in actual dollars and percentages. For example, if your house goes up in value by 15%, say, according to my arithmetic, your taxes would go up 2.1%. If your assessment goes up 20%, the tax increase would amount to 6.6%, et cetera, et cetera. So unlike last year, when everybody had a across-the-board 8% tax increase, this year, different people will have different amounts of tax increases, depending on which rate we decide to use, of course. So if that could be done, I think that'd be helpful.
We will, I was taking notes, so we'll see what we can pull off with all of that in time for the meeting. If we need any follow-up questions, we will reach out. I will say, since I haven't mentioned it, I think I meant to mention it during my report, the proposed budget is including a 3-cent tax rate reduction. So that's 11%. So just get that out there. And of course, no one can figure out, even though you can see your reassessment numbers, whatever the reassessment number is for the property, we can't figure out the tax until, of course, we know the rate, which comes with the approval of the budget.
Right. One other maybe possible addition would be if I'm looking at the right numbers, the total tax revenues for last year were $3,169,060. Is that correct?
For last year. Last year, we budgeted 2.7 million for property tax revenue.
Okay, let me put that down. 2.7 million. Thank you.
Yes.
And now that was at the rate of 0.2678, right?
Yes.
All right. Now, based on what do you think the projected total assessment value of all the properties in town might be, what would be the rate that would give us the same amount of tax revenues from those properties. If you could come up with that, that would be wonderful.
Any other questions? Okay, we need a motion to accept the proposed fiscal year 23 operating budget, 5-year capital improvement budget, and water utility budget.
But could I suggest a wording change on that, please, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Sure.
Can we vote to accept it at this point?
Mr. Mayor, I think the right motion would, I don't know that any motion is necessary. It
No.
was simply presented for purposes of information to be discussed at the February 22nd workshop. It needs to be introduced as an ordinance and go through the ordinance adoption process, and we got a long way to go. This was just informational.
Okay. That's fine. Are there any other questions before we, or issues raised by the town council before we open it up to the second citizens privilege? If not, we will open it up to the second citizens privilege. If anyone chooses to speak, you cannot speak about the same thing that you asked in the first citizens privilege. And asking a question is the same way as always, is to click on the raised hand and you will be recognized and unmuted.
You have a hand raised for Dick Jennings.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Jennison.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a couple of questions, but first I'd like to thank the chief. At the last town council meeting, I raised the issue of speeding on Order Drive. After that, it's almost like I was in the back of the police department because there were so many patrols going up and down this road. And I really thank him for that. We still have a problem with speeding, but I understand that's a universal problem in Ocean View. But I do appreciate his effort to present the police out here. So that did help with slowing down traffic. At least they saw that police were out here. And I know our residents here on Oak Drive also saw them and were appreciative of that effort as well. So thank you, Chief, for your continuing hard work with that. Mr. Mayor, I have a couple questions relating to the eligibility to vote in the upcoming election, if I may, and I'm sure you'll direct it to whomever can answer this. But I believe on the website that it states that if you haven't voted in the past 2 years, you need to re-register in order to vote for the upcoming election. My question is specifically, if there was no candidates or if candidates ran unopposed, resulting in no election, are you still required to re-register because you haven't voted? Is more of a question on technicality. So do I have to re-register even though I didn't vote because nobody ran?
That's a good question, Mr. Jennison. I'm not sure that I've ever had to address that before. But quite frankly, the answer that I would give is probably, I don't think so. I can't imagine, I agree. I think the sense of your question is, if we don't have elections and you can't vote, why should we say you have to vote in the last 2 years?
Right, that's right.
I would agree. And while we're sitting here doing that, I'm trying to remember when the last time was we had a contested election, and I can't come up with it. It may be as many as 5 years ago.
No.
Who was contested, Bruce?
I'm the last one who was contested.
3 years ago or last year?
Yes, sir. 3 years, yes.
3 years ago.
Donna, can we shed any light that that the rolls, the registration would remain the same?
It's the last 2 elections. that we had. If you didn't vote in the last one, the last two elections, not the last 2 years.
So,
The
so
last two elections would have been 3 years ago and probably 2 years before that. So it's a very strange rule.
So I think the answer is that if someone has been within the last 2 years registered, that they would be able to vote without registering again.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you
would
for
agree.
clarifying my question. Okay, that's what I was asking for. Thank you for that. One other question. Can a resident of Ocean View purchase a list of registered voters in the town? I know you can purchase a list of residents, but can you purchase a list of registered voters in the town of Ocean View?
Yes,
Okay.
that's
And
that's a FOIA request, and whatever the duplication costs would belong to the person who requested. It may, I don't know, Donna, I haven't looked at one in a long time since we haven't had many elections, but they don't contain social security numbers or anything that would benefit
No,
somebody with nefarious intent, correct?
it contains only their name and their address,
okay.
and their PDN number.
Is there a cost? Is that cost similar to purchasing the list of residents? What is the cost associated with? Will you tell me that after I do the freedom of information?
I would have to find out how many pages it is, and it'd be
Okay.
like with a FOIA request.
Right.
It
Okay.
would be the cost like a FOIA request.
All right. So I'll do that process, and then you'll tell me what it, or the town will tell me what it costs to secure that. Thank you for that. And one other question. Is there anything the town could be doing or should be doing to broaden the opportunity for people to be aware of open council seats or to run an election? Whether it's a public service campaign, and I'm echoing what the former Mayor Curran said in his outgoing speech, basically a little concerned at the lack of apathy in the town with people running for these seats. Is there something the town could do to gender up some excitement about whether getting community involvement? I just don't, right now, I think we're lacking diversity on the town council, both age and gender. I think something like that would be very helpful to the town to have a more diverse town council. So it's something we can do, the town can do to generate more interest for people to consider running for the election. It's more of a question.
I can just share what we are doing, and we have it on OVTV on the website, and we have put it out. I believe, Donna, you can probably confirm for me if it's been out on Facebook, on social media.
It's been in the newspaper. It'll be in the newspaper all month.
Yeah, I guess my concern is more on the diversity or lack thereof. How do we expand the diversity with candidates that could come in? It's more of a general question to open up the town to, I know there's more women in the town than there are men. Things like that. We have no representation on the council from a gender standpoint. I'm just trying to get a more diverse representation. With more people moving here, more homes coming in, is there ways that we can be doing a public service campaign beyond the existing efforts that the town has done? I'm asking for consideration. You don't have to answer it now.
Okay, we will take that under consideration, and I will discuss this with the town manager.
Thank you.
Any I see another question. Darlene Woolidge. Can you unmute her?
Sure, let's see. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I just think this was probably appropriate timing, and I appreciate you, Dick Jendison, bringing this up. I'm fairly new to the community. 3 years now I've lived in Ocean View. I love the town. I love the fact that we're the safest community. We have a great police department. And I just wanted to introduce myself and let you know I'm running for the town council person for District 1. So Bruce, hi, I'd like to talk to you.
Hi, hello. Please do. I'd be happy to do that for you.
I'd love to meet with you and just to talk to you and discuss your role and the responsibilities, if we could do that.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. I'm on Woodland Avenue, 35 Woodland Avenue. I think we're neighbors.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, all right. You look like a great group of people to work with. I think the town manager and Don and everybody, the police chief, you do a fabulous job here. I love living in Ocean View.
Well, that's great to hear. And we look forward to your participation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you'll be in to register to run for council?
Yes.
Okay. We look forward to meeting you.
Okay, me too, Don.
Are there any further questions, comments? Seeing none, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So passes. Thank you very much for your participation, and see you in a couple weeks.
Good night.
Good evening.
Thank
Night.
you.
Night.